This is Bryan Rudnick, host of Rally for the Republic, and today we're hosting Sheriff Keith Pearson. He's the sheriff of the St. Lucie County here in Florida, someone I had the privilege of meeting a few months ago. He's pretty famous nationally. He was appointed to sheriff by Governor DeSantis in 2023. He's got over 2 decades of law enforcement experience, highly decorated, a no-nonsense, tough-on-crime sheriff who served in multiple areas of law enforcement. His duties include leadership of more than 700 sworn and civilian professionals. Sheriff Pearson, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us at Rally for the Republic.
Hey, thank you so much for having us on here today. I know it's short notice. We're just coming off the tail end of a deadly tornado outbreak that severely affected our neighborhood. But again, I appreciate you taking the time to acknowledge the men and women of the Sheriff's Office and the first responders that have gone out there and put their lives on the line.
Well, I thank you for being here. I know your staff said you've got quite a packed schedule today, so I'm hoping we can get everything in. You don't get dragged away like Kamala Harris got dragged away by her staff the other day. But unlike her, you're actually dealing with life and death issues.
Well, that's one person that we hadn't seen here. We've seen a lot of other, state and local representatives all coming together to make sure that our Floridians stay safe. I haven't heard from or seen anything from the Biden-Harris administration.
That's what I was going to ask you about. So Hurricane Milton came through St. Lucie County last week, and there was a lot of devastation. I understand even one of your buildings.
Yeah, so I can give you the rundown if you're ready for it.
Absolutely.
So we're preparing for Hurricane Milton, and we're expecting to have 50-mile-an-hour winds and excessive flooding. Never in a million years would I or any of our members of the community expect to be hit with these devastating tornadoes that proven to be deadly. It just rampage through our community. We are sitting in the office right here coming up with a plan. 100 yards away from us on the outside, we have a 27,000 square foot red iron structure that's designed to protect our equipment, our high water rescue vehicles, our pterodynes, our boats, our brand new patrol cars from this hurricane that's coming. Little did we know, or unfortunately, we got hit with a tornado and it took that building out and everything underneath it.
So most people heard that the west coast of Florida and Tampa area got affected by the storms, but people probably don't realize where St. Lucie County is located here on the East Coast. Do you want to give them a quick brief on the location?
So we're pretty much where the hurricane made landfall, go directly to the other side of the state on the ocean side. So we're about right now, studio-wise, we're 1.5 miles away from the water. The hurricane itself was still hundreds of miles offshore. This was the first round of feeder bands that came through. Before the storm comes, we get those nice little clear areas of weather. Then all of a sudden, what happens? We have a huge increase in rain and wind. Well, this first feeder band that came through our community on the East Coast, hundreds and hundreds of miles away, produced these tornadoes like we've never seen before. I've never seen this in my entire career, much less my entire life.
And you said Kamala Harris was the first on the ground with her new way forward to help you out?
No, that's one person that we hadn't seen, but I could tell you who we did see. Within an hour and a half of these tornadoes touching down, our greatest governor, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, was on the phone sending troops. Jimmy Petronis, our CFO, Ashley Moody, everybody was on the phone. What do you need? What do you need? We're still trying to piece things together. An hour and a half later, we had over 100 Florida National Guardsmen here on scene. We had teams from search and rescue units that drove through the storm. You got to remember, the storm didn't even come yet. This was the first feeder band that left this devastation, but they had troops on the ground. Our amazing men and women of the Sheriff's Office were out there sifting through the rubble. We saved lives that night. As a community, if it wasn't for the actions of the state, more lives would have been lost, 100%.
Yeah, we are lucky. I say all the time here at Rally for the Republic how lucky we are to have such great leadership here at the state level and, of course, to have county level leaders like yourself. So thank you for your service, too.
No, again, a lot of people tend to forget about all those other people. We think of first responders, and what do you think of? You think of a firefighter, you think of a police officer. You know who you don't think of? You don't think of the guy that you see every day cutting the side of the grass along 95. You don't think of the FP&L linemen that are out there, making sure our power's up. those people stepped up to the plate. We needed heavy equipment. And this was during the storm. You got to remember this, the hurricane hadn't even touched ground yet. And we're doing search and rescue missions. We did search and rescue missions throughout the entire storm as the hurricane came through because there was so much devastation here. But those that work for the county, EOC, even our civilian staff came in to make sure that our operation ran, and they did an amazing job. And I can't say it enough. Their actions saved lives.
So Kamala Harris has been, a little busy making the interview circuit on podcasts and Fox News. So did she at least make sure that FEMA got down to help you out?
We've been boots on the ground. I did see a FEMA tent pop up. I've heard from some of our citizens that kind of were more upset of the amount of paperwork that they had to fill out. And then at the end of it, you have literally people's houses are gone. And they're getting, we'll fill out all these forms, go home, go on. There's no internet to go home and fill it out on. There's nowhere to go.
I'm sure the people of Ukraine had the same bureaucracy when they got taxpayer dollars from the U.S.
I don't know anything about, where they're sending money overseas, but I do know that we need help here. And Governor Ron DeSantis, our local officials stepped up to the plate and they provided everything. We said we needed some tarps, blue tarps. We got over 1 million square foot of blue tarps and 55 miles of rope within hours. And then we had another semi-truck load come in with more stuff. We needed ice. We didn't get a bag of ice. We got an ice truck here. So we're getting as much resources as we can. You hear complaints around the nation. Oh, they're not getting this, they're not getting that. Well, there's no one complaining here in our community. Our residents are resilient. They understand the inconvenience of not having electricity. They understand the inconvenience of not being able to flush the toilet. They understand the inconvenience of not having internet because they know that we've lost the most valuable thing in our community, and that's a couple of our residents. Right now we're at 6, and there's nothing we could have done to prevent it. I mean, these storms, Mother Nature came through with vengeance, but our community came together in the days to follow, and we saw the most amazing of humanity.
So let me ask you this. I'd like to educate the listeners of Rally for the Republic. And most people, when they hear the word sheriff, they probably think of Wyatt Earp or some old Western movie. So would you please give a quick education on what exactly a county sheriff in the state of Florida does, your role, kind of day-to-day, things like that?
Day-to-day, the sheriff in Florida is the highest constitutional officer in the county. We're in charge of the courts. We're in charge of the serving civil papers. We're in charge of the jails holding individuals before they go into trial. And then those that aren't sentenced to prison. We're in charge of everything. So a lot of people come up north and we invite them, come on down. I mean, who wouldn't want to come to Florida? So you're in a state up north that is just run lawlessness. You come to Florida, you're like, wow, this is amazing. There's nobody taking a poop on the sidewalk. There's not needles laying around everywhere. Cops are putting handcuffs on people, not the other way around. So, we kind of give the explanation, or what I've learned to be the easiest way to explain it is the sheriff in counties in Florida is like the state police in some of those other communities to the north of us, to where we have the authority, we have the resources. But again, it's also, we consistently change. We move with what the community wants. We don't run off statistics. We don't run off of, writing tickets. That's not our goal. Our goal is to serve our citizens and to serve them right and proud.
So since 2020, the left has had a big movement here in America, as I'm sure you're well aware. It's called the defund movement. It was very anti-cop, very anti-police, very anti-law enforcement, had major impacts around the country. How did that impact you and the brave men and women who serve alongside of you?
Right here in St. Lucie County, we didn't feel those effects. We've heard of, we had a handful of incidents that I was directly a part of. I was incident command because I've been at the sheriff's office for over 2 decades. So I was incident command during a couple of these shut down the streets, Black Lives Matters protests. And you know what we found out? We found out that the fake liberal media was bringing in vans of people that weren't from our community. They were literally getting out of the same vans. I saw it with my own eyes. Those that are filming it and giving these stories are having these fake protesters come out. That's not St. Lucie County. That's not our community. Our community loves law and order because they know that we're going to protect them. So a lot of that stuff that you're seeing, it's propaganda. And that was kind of the beginning of me seeing firsthand how the media just not all media. We have a lot of great media that reports on it. We have a lot of local media that is amazing, but we have that element of just not telling the truth when it comes to reporting. It's sensationalism, and it's just it's uncalled for. Here I like to just call it a duck is a duck. I get myself in trouble quite often with the local media and some of the stuff that they portray. Oh my God, he said this. So on
that point, apparently they don't like you support you loot, we shoot.
Listen,
how do you respond to that?
I could respond to that very easy. When a citizen spray paints, you loot, we shoot, and that's the message. You know what we didn't have? We had all this devastation. You know what we didn't have? Not one looter. Not one call of somebody coming in here and victimizing our community for looting. Not one. We have our deputies out there. We had our strike force teams out there patrolling at night, marked visible, not only to prevent looters, or not, I wouldn't say prevent looters, because I don't think there's a looter crazy enough to come to St. Lucie County. We didn't have any lightning strikes. They'd have probably got hit with a taser if they wanted to loot one of our communities here. But we didn't have not one person come and try to victimize our citizens through stealing their property, because, I think they just know. I mean, we had teams out there, looking for it. But while they were out there, we put them in trucks. They had chainsaws. They have, of that 1 million square foot of tarps, we're out there giving the community what they need. So there's no code of silence where, the community's not going to point the finger and say, hey, this guy doesn't belong in the neighborhood, or this guy just did this. Our community will call us. I think the most elevated thing that we had was we took care of that real quick. Was an individual tried taking someone's screen enclosure. There was some aluminum on the side of the road, so you have the scrappers that come through and take all that. We had one call of that. We were there within seconds. Because our deputies are just everywhere. And we ended up trespassing them and then throwing the guy out of the county.
So obviously you're doing such a great job that you had some pretty high-profile individuals that decided to be deputized by you recently. Would you please elaborate on that?
100%. Eric Trump lives in Florida. Donald Trump lives in Florida. They are amazing. They support law and order. They do not support any defunding of the police. I kind of see some of the scenarios that I see myself getting into with calling a duck, talking about different topics that people don't want to talk about because they're afraid that they're going to be labeled as, racist or woke or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, we're just pushing it out there. I've had a handful of media inquiries about, Donald Trump was deputized. Well, listen, 78 million people last go around in our community and in our country, wanted him to be president, voted for him. And I'm sure we're well over hundreds of millions now that are voting him. So if he's, it's an understatement to say that he's qualified. I believe he's qualified, and I believe he is going to be our next president. But for him to be commander in chief of our country, this is being a deputized is nothing. That's just a matter of, he's overqualified.
So what was it like to, where'd you swear him in?
We went down to Doral. He's out running around. Eric's been here to the sheriff's office. His brother Donald Jr. has been to the sheriff's office. Again, assessing the damage, seeing what's on. You don't see any publication about it, but getting resources here. Donald Jr. was here on scene or at the sheriff's office while we went around there. So getting resources and helping the community is what the Trumps are all about. The whole family, despite
any other jurisdictions in the country that have ever deputized a president or former president?
I don't, but I don't look at them as deputizing a former president or deputizing them. I look at it as deputizing American citizens that are willing and able to step up to the plate when they need it to keep our community safe. And that's what it's all about. That's what they are. That's what they're running on. Nothing about, popularity, not any of this stuff or it's just the mere fact that they're genuinely great people. They're great patriots. They're great Americans, and they want to do what's right by America. And, I stand by them. I endorse Donald Trump. I've come out, when these cowards made attempts on his life, and that's just what they are. We had the one up in Pennsylvania not too long ago. Secret Service got him, good riddance. Bye, Felicia. We have the one here in Palm Beach, which is just to the north of us. The guy tried fleeing, again, Martin County Sheriff's Office, Secret Service, stopped him in his tracks. Because that's what Floridans do. Florida sheriffs go out there. When that call is to come, every one of our deputies are ready and able to go out there and put their lives on the line to make sure that everyone's freedom, no matter what the administration is, I'll support them. Let them go out there and talk all they want. We're going to protect them just as much. So it's not, when it comes down to that, it's not necessarily about, the Trumps or Donald Trump being shot at. and us going after them. It would be anybody, even if it's rhetoric that I don't like. We're going to protect them. We're going to do exactly the same for them.
So let's get more into how you receive attention for doing the great work that you do. There's this term called Pearson's Penthouse. It's been banted around in the media. Would you care to explain that to the Rally for the Republic listeners?
Pearson's Penthouse is the county jail. If you commit crime and victimize our citizens, we're going to lock you away from society so you can't victimize them, and you're going to have a free stay, a 5-star stay at Pearson's Penthouse. That's our county jail. And
you give them a little publicity on your social media, I see.
Oh yeah, no, we do. We have Turn Yourself in Tuesday. We've got Find Out Fridays. We've got, you name it. We have all different types of things. We've got our booking blotter where we would post photos of those that were arrested. And then I do the most famous ones are the post-game interviews. So when our deputies are out there chasing these bad guys and they end up catching them, and I'm able to get out there because I'm very hands-on. I very seldom stay in the office. Out there in the field, if I hear they're in pursuit of a vehicle, I'm jumping in the car, I'm running lights and sirens. I drive a Scat Pack, a Dodge Scat Pack that didn't cost the taxpayers a penny. You want to know why? Because we took it, we seized it. It was used in a crime. Our traffic unit has a 5.0 Mustang, seized vehicle. And you know what we do? We put it in large gold reflective material on the side, seized vehicle. We let the public know. They love it. Who doesn't love it? Criminals. Those that want to feel about the criminals' feelings.
So I guess your innovative tactics are truly working to deter crime in your county.
I don't know if they're working or not, but I can tell you this. We didn't have not one looter.
That's awesome. So let me say, before you and I got onto this interview, Kamala Harris was just giving a speech attacking Donald Trump's border security and deportation laws. As you know, a lot of us believe the border crisis is no longer at the border. Has it been impacting St. Lucie County?
It's funny you bring that up because you're hitting all the stuff that we've done over the last year. The Florida has a coastline that is protected by the U.S. Coast Guard and a very minimal number of U.S. Federal employees. Unfortunately, but I'm proud of it, we have a Marine unit. We have safety vessels that are these large vessels that have big, powerful motors on them that have like bumpers on them so we can go up and intercept boats. And our deputies are going out there and intercepting boatloads of migrants that are fleeing, trying to come in here. And they try to disguise this as a humanitarian crisis. This is not a humanitarian crisis. These are military-aged men who are coming over here, who most of them have criminal histories and they're deviants from whatever countries that they're coming from, trying to cross over from the Bahamas because we're only 60 miles away. And when they're coming here, they're not only coming here illegally, they're coming here with guns. They're coming here with fentanyl, and they're looking to just victimize our community. I went out on a vessel where we intercepted about 60 migrants on a boat that was stolen, and these were all military-aged men. What we do, we don't let them touch soil. We keep them out there. The Coast Guard comes. If we keep them offshore, contained, the Coast Guard will bring their cutter out there. We offload them onto the cutter vessel, and they bring them right back to wherever it is they come from. The minute they touch ground, they go away. I'm sure the current administration gives them a court date and money to live, and they're into our society. And then you know what happens? We arrest them again. And I have one of my TikToks that we did on an individual that was crossed over illegally in California, committed some crimes there. They gave him a court date. They gave him money for housing. And what happens? We get a citizen here saying, someone's stealing my motorcycle. Our deputies run out there. They stop the van. Not only did this individual this criminal steal this citizen's motorcycle, there was 4 other motorcycles in there, and they were tied into another case where they had a U-Haul truck loaded with stolen motorcycles. And what they were doing is they were going around stealing all these motorcycles. And had this person been ejected from our country for coming here illegally, we wouldn't have had all these victims. Had this person been held in a facility to account for his crimes of crossing into our country illegally, more of our citizens wouldn't be victimized. Again, you don't see, little kids crossing with families. You don't see a humanitarian crisis here, people fleeing. You see military-aged men that are climbing a 40-foot wall that's reinforced to prevent it. I mean, come on, they're coming here. They're throwing bags over with fentanyl. They're throwing bags over with guns. And they're just trying to
identify some of the countries they're coming from.
We had a big influx from Haiti not too long ago. And again, we had the prison break. The world knew of the prison break that happened in Haiti. A large influx of them went over to the Bahamas, and Governor DeSantis again stepped up to the plate because the federal government didn't. He had the Florida National Guard with drones. He sent Florida highway troopers, FHP troopers, to our coastlines stationed around the clock. And a lot of our citizens were like, man, why is there troopers out there? There's nothing there but just miles of empty beaches. Well, when these boats are coming over, they have what they call coyotes on this side, those people that are going to intercept them, that are going to pick up the drugs, that are going to pick up the guns, that are going to pick these people up to put them into their criminal organizations. And when they see that there's boats out there, when they see the manned drones flying, protecting our borders, when they see tons of Florida Highway Patrolmen along with Florida Sheriff's deputies literally on our coasts sitting there, they think twice. You know what they do? They don't come over because they know we're going to get them.
So a lot of sheriffs are on the advertisements for the amendments, some of the amendments that are on the ballot here in Florida in November. Have you taken a position on Amendment 2 for the right to hunt and fish?
For Amendment 2, the right to hunt and fish, legislation, it's funny you should say that because I'm actually being sued by a gun organization about open carry. It's a legislation issue. If the legislation decides to step up to the plate and represent the citizens of what they want, then I'm all about enforcing that. I can't pick and choose what laws we're going to enforce unless it's gothly unconstitutional. But again, that really comes down to a legislative issue, not a sheriff's issue. We don't create the laws. We're just here to enforce them and kind of modify them to our community. And I can tell you this because I was in charge of our school resource division for many, many, many years. And that was probably the most rewarding position I've had outside of being sheriff. And with that is we're able to see our community's 300 square miles. We've got 60,000 students. And we're able to see that you can't necessarily have policies that reflect different communities because there's different, economical factors. There's different ethnic factors that really go into it, and cultural, these different areas, because we have schools that are so diverse, you really need to tailor it to the community that you're understand and tailor it to the community that you're serving. So we're very diverse here in St. Lucie County. We have a lot of multiple different nationalities. We don't represent just one group. When you call 911, you don't ask for a Democrat or a Republican sheriff's deputy. You ask for a deputy, and that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get the best. We're going to protect you the same, no matter what walk of life you come from. But again, really, we're guided by legislation. So,
I forgot to ask you before, if you would just get into a little bit, tell the Rally for the Republic listeners, about some of your vast experience, because obviously nobody just walks in on day one to become sheriff, and you have this vast, more than 2 decades worth of law enforcement experience. Could you please tell us some of the things you've done?
Well, first and foremost, I've been right here in St. Lucie County my entire life. At the age of 3, I came here, so I don't remember anything but this community. My dad's been a police officer in the city here for 25 plus years. He just retired a few years back of serving the community. He actually started the Police Athletic League here, which is in an underprivileged area that helps get kids off the street. We always say we want to connect kids, deputies, in the community. My older brother works for the sheriff's office. He's been here 25 years as well. And then my other brother's a fire chief or a deputy chief to a few counties to the north of us. So I come from a family of serving the public. My only job has been right here at the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office, 19 years old. So 19 years old until present, I've been here. I've worked everywhere from the Department of Detention to most of my career was in our Special Investigations Unit, which is narcotics and vice. And I've seen firsthand, the damage that fentanyl does to families, going out there. I've even gone as far as pulling the 21 Jump Street. I went back to a county to the west of us, Okeechobee County. When I was 26 years old, I went back into a high school as a student undercover. Life problems and dealing with people, everything is just, all about the person, not necessarily a policy, because you have to look at what, we're law enforcement's normally called when people's in their worst times. And to have a deputy come there and say, I understand, we don't. We would never understand what a person's really going for. Could we sympathize with? Absolutely. Can we rationale? Absolutely. But we don't know what that person's walk of life that put them in the state of mind that they're in, that they're needing law enforcement for a crisis. But we do know if you break the law, we're going to hold you accountable. We do know that if you steal a car in our community, and you run, we're going to chase you. We have policies that allow our deputies to pursue. We have the training that teaches them how to pit, vit, and do intentional contact on vehicles to stop these felons and these fleeing felons. And we also encourage it, because if you can't apprehend a person, you can't hold them accountable.
So we've addressed that obviously there's movement in this country that doesn't show the love and respect to law enforcement and first responders that they deserve. But what the Rally for the Republic listeners obviously are the kinds of patriotic Americans who do appreciate your service and the service of those who work with you. What can we do to help support you and your brothers and sisters in law enforcement?
Just keep doing what you're doing. Our deputies like it when they share posts, when they get a thumbs up. If you see a police officer, just a quick thumbs up is all they need. Everyone gets into this to help people. I know we do have, unfortunately, we do have bad apples that come into law enforcement and things happen. Unfortunately, I've had to arrest some of our deputies, and I put them out there as well. I'm very transparent with it, with body cam footage and things like that. So, there's always different levels of things. But again, just that simple smile, just that simple thumbs up, that like and share on a post, that words of encouragement when they see them, that you're doing the right thing. But we know that we're doing the right thing here in St. Lucie County. Again, we're not feeling the effects of Washington, D.C. with just, drug use and open, homelessness policies. We actually have laws in Florida that prevent those homeless people from sleeping in public areas on sidewalks, because really it prevents our citizens from moving back and forth from where they're going. You have somebody sleeping on a bench, with needles sitting there, or they defecate on the sidewalk there. I mean, that tends to change the quality of life.
So what do you think is the biggest threat to our republic today?
The biggest threat to our republic is the non-support of law enforcement, law and order. I could tell you this 100% because I've spoken to him directly, Donald Trump. I've spoken to his kids. I've spoken to our great Governor Ron DeSantis. These are all American patriots that are right here in Florida that are making sure that Florida stands with law and order.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Sheriff Keith Pearson of St. Lucie County Sheriff's Department. I appreciate you being here, joining us in Rally for the Republic. I do need to let you know today's show was sponsored by Rubin Wealth Advisors and my friend Bob Rubin at RubinWA.com. He's also a great patriot I'd love to introduce you to one day. I think the two of you would hit it off really well. And
I've seen his commercials, and I know that he's a supporter of the Second Amendment. I know that he's the supporter of law enforcement. So if you can hear me, thank you. Thank you for all that you do, not only today, but throughout the years.
Yeah. Well, Sheriff, keep up the great work. I know you've done an amazing job making an impact in St. Lucie County and being a very innovative sheriff that many others throughout our country should emulate. So thank you for all of your service.
That's it. Again, you can see everything that we do on our TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, as well as our websites. But more importantly, just, when you see, even if it's one of these liberal states to the north of us, if you see a police officer, just that simple thumbs up, that smile, that head nod, where you don't have to say anything at all. They know what you mean. They know that you're supporting them.
It's great advice, and I'm sure the Rally for the Republic listeners will follow. So I'm Bryan Rudnick, the host of Rally for the Republic. You've just heard an episode with Sheriff Keith Pearson of the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. Thank you, sir, for joining Rally for the Republic today.
Thank you.